Hello, math students. Today I'm going to give you instructions on 6.1 and 6.2, solving equations using algebra. And I thought to save time, I would get my questions up on my smart podium that I brought home for math lessons. And so as you can see, there's some instructions up here. This next section, Unit 6, is about algebra, solving linear equations. And remember, when you are solving equations, whatever you do to the left, you have to do to the right. So that's just a heads up for all these different assignments that we're going to be doing over the next little bit. Our first example is some refresher questions like we've done in the past. These are simple equations. So example 1, I have drawn here in purple. 4x plus 10 is equal to 30. So I want to make sure that I isolate for my variable and get it by itself. So how do I do that? I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides, and I'm going to get 4x on the left is equal to 20 on the right. When I do that, then I'm going to divide to get that x at 4 away, and if I do that on the left, I have to do that on the right. Those are going to cancel. X is going to be 5. Okay, so fairly straightforward. Example 2 is over here in green. This time we have a slightly different order and a negative integer on the right. So I'm still looking for x as the one that I'm trying to solve for. So I'm going to get rid of my 9, which is the extra number, but it is a positive over here in front. So knowing that it is a positive number, I'm going to subtract it, just like I did in the last example, from both sides. So I'm going further in the negative on the right-hand side. This is on the left. These two cancel and make a 0. And the thing that the 4x is what is remaining on the left. On the right-hand side, I'm going to have negative 15, subtract another 9, so it's like I'm going further negative, and I'm going to be at negative 24. Now that I have simplified on the left and the right, I'm now going to isolate for my x. I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides, and my x is going to be negative 6 because I carry down this sign to my answer. All right. Example 3, I have here in black. I have 4x again, subtract 8 equals 20. This time my integer, my spare fixed number is negative 8. So I'm going to do opposite of negative 8 to get x by itself on the left. I'm going to add 8 to the left and add it to the right. Canceling on the left gets me 4x equals 28. Divide by 4, and x is equal to 7. Question example 4 here in red is a little different. I have a negative x this time, and I don't want to have a negative answer or a negative x value, so I'm going to have to do some dividing. And remember that when I have an x by itself, it really means that I have an invisible 1 there. And even though it's not showing, that little 1 goes in there, and it is like it is a variable that you just can't, or a coefficient you just can't see. So when I'm going to solve this question, I'm going to get rid of my 7 because it's the spare number on the right-hand side. So I'm going to get rid of it and move it to the left, canceling on the right and getting 3 on the left, equals to negative x. Well, now I have to get rid of that negative sign with that x. So when I do that, I'm going to divide by negative 1, which is going to get rid of that invisible 1 that I have there. And this number is going to cancel with this. And if I do that on the right, I also have to do it on the left. My answer now is negative 3 is equal to x. Okay, so this is just a refresher from things past that we've done. So it shouldn't be anything new. It's just a little bit of a brain refresh. With example 5, I'm going to have a negative variable, and I have some bigger numbers, but again, just like the last question, I want to combine like terms. I want to get the numbers to the same side, so I'm going to subtract 46 on the right, and I'm going to subtract it on the left. That's going to cancel my on the right, and I'm going to get negative 3x on the right, and 25 minus 46 is going to be negative 21. Now I have a negative 3 that I want to get rid of in front of the x, so I'm going to divide by negative 3 on both sides, canceling on the right to get x. And the two negatives, when I divide two negatives, I get a positive 7 is my answer. Okay, so remember those two negatives over here on the left. Oh, now my pen's not working. Little technical difficulties. I have to hold on for a second. There we go. Those two negatives, they are going to be a positive as a result. Okay, so my answer down here is positive 7. When I go to my next question, question 6, if I look at it, I have a negative x and a spare number there, 16, so I'm going to get rid of it on both sides. And that's going to make it further negative is equal to negative x. Like I did in example number 4, I'm going to divide by negative 1 on both sides, and I'm going to get a positive x on the right, and I'm going to get positive 19 on the left. All right, I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to load a few examples of word questions that we're going to go through, and then you should be set to go for sections 6.1 and 6.2. All right, so I've loaded a couple examples of word problems. They are in your textbook on page 320, and they go with section, 319 and 320, and they kind of go together. The main part of these word problems is to always make an equation with a variable using the information that's given to you, and then solve the equation after. So that's what you're looking at for moving through these equations through 6.1 and 6.2. So if you go into example 7 here, the things that are important for this particular question would be, so Herman is in the last round of the spellathon, and he is a contestant. A contestant receives 3 points for every spelled word that is spelled correctly, and Herman has 42 points. How many words has he spelled correctly? So my variable that I'm going to use for this particular question is W, for how many words that he spelled correctly. And because there is 3 points per word, my equation is going to be 3W equals 42, which is the points that he has. So if I solve this, like I did in the last examples, I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides, cancel, and W is going to be equal to 14. Okay, so he has spelled 14 words correctly. If I look down here, example 8, Jody's also in the spellathon, and she has she's had a penalty in her example of losing 5 points, and so now she has 19 points. How many did she spell correctly? So I'm going to use the similar format I had on the last one. So 3W, but she had a penalty, so subtract the 5 points she lost, and now she equals 19 points. That's going to be my equation that I create. When I go to solve, I'm going to add 5 to both sides, and I'm going to get 3W is equal to 24. And I'm going to divide by 3, just like I did with example 7. And my answer is going to be 8 words that she has correctly spelled. All right, that's the end of my examples for 6.1 and 6.2. I'm going to put a digital copy of the questions I'd like you to do from the textbook, and I will put picture of the textbook pages in for those that don't have a textbook just yet. And by Wednesday, I would hope that you should be working through 6.1 and 6.2, and I will do an instructional video for 6.3 on Wednesday. Thanks a lot. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.